What's up, Urban Acolyte family? My name is Prince, and I am an Urban Acolyte. And today, man, today started off on a bad note, right? As soon as I woke up, the Jedi senses were telling me that something was not right in the world, in my personal world. It didn't take long to confirm that there was a scare with the Urban Acolyte team, the people in the background who helped me with this channel. That's why I always say my name is Prince and I'm an Urban Acolyte, because I'm not the only one here. I'm just the face that you guys see. But there's my best friend, Samiko. I'll be helping her start her YouTube channel, hopefully in 2017. It'll be a fitness channel. There's my Kung Fu Uncle Ash Higgs, who's going to be helping me develop the real life Jedi curriculum, the actual stuff that you'll be able to train when I get the Urban Acolyte Training Academy up and running here in Nashville. There's the Egyptian, who we don't know what her spot is going to be yet. Right now, she's just the person who gives me pep talks before I come on and make these videos, right? So there was a bit of a scare. I'm not going to say much about it because about an hour or two after that is when we found the news about Carrie Fisher's passing. If you don't know, Carrie Fisher went into cardiac arrest on her flight back from London to LA. She was in London promoting her book, The Princess Diaries. And we thought that, her mother made a statement yesterday or the day before that she was in stable condition. She was recovering. And unfortunately, she passed away this morning at 8:55 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I don't really know what to say. Those of you who know my background know that my background is in ministry. That's why sometimes I sound like I'm preaching in these videos. But right now, I'm at a loss of words. So shout out to Danny Balancio, who's a fan of the channel. He posted this quote from Yoda on his Facebook page, and this is what I'm going to use to kind of sum up what I'm feeling. So it is what Yoda said to Anakin in Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And that statement is, "Death is a natural part of life. Rejoice for those around you who transform into the Force. Mourn them, do not. Miss them, do not. Attachment leads to jealousy. The shadow of greed, that is." Right? So realistically, is it okay to mourn? Yes, it is. But don't attach yourself to the suffering. Mourn, be in the moment. We're sad for our loss of Carrie Fisher or Princess Leia. There are questions that some of you have been asking me. What are the implications for episodes 8 and 9 and for the saga and for the future of Star Wars? Right now, I feel that it's too soon to say. I feel funny about doing the video on that. I do have some thoughts, but I'm going to hold off for now. We all need a time to mourn, to let this sink in and then to move on, right? Because it is the attachment that leads to jealousy, and jealousy, the shadow of greed. That's the way to the dark side, right? But for now, be sad, be in your emotions. And all I can say is to Carrie Fisher, to her daughter, Billie Lords, to her mother, Mrs. Reynolds, may the Force be with you always. To the Urban Acolyte family and Star Wars fans as a whole, may the Force of others be with all of you in this time of mourning. Hey, with the way of the Tao or the way of the Force, that you have to take the good with the bad. You have to take the light with the dark. As I was kind of preparing this video, I say little now, the incident that I had earlier with the Urban Acolyte team, that is resolving itself, and things are not as bad as I thought they would be. And within a week, Hopefully everything should be back to normal and all gravy, baby. So the topic for this Star Wars chat, and I don't want to make this a really long, drawn out 20-minute video, even though you guys have said you're enjoying the longer videos, is I want to deal with the question of that I've been asked by several people about what Yoda meant when he said to Obi-Wan that there is another. People have been asking me, is that Ezra? And short answer, no, it pertains to Leia, but it's one of those yes and no answers. Yes, it is Leia, but at the time, it might not have been Leia. So does that mean it could have been Ezra? No, but I'm going to give a reason once I explain why it's a yes and no answer that it could apply to Ezra in a way. It'll make sense, right? So I'm going to bring it all the way back around and leave you guys completely confused in the way that I give answers, but don't give answers because that is the way of the sage, to give you the tools to let you come to your own conclusion, right? So let's go back to this. So in The Empire Strikes Back, Luke is leaving his training on Dagobah to answer a question that I've been asked other times since we're talking about Luke training with Yoda on Dagobah. How long was he on Dagobah? We don't know. Time does not pass on Dagobah the way it passes everywhere else in the galaxy. Because Dagobah is so strong in the Force, time passes there the same way it passes on Mortis. So Luke could spend a year, 2 years, 5 years training with Yoda on Dagobah, and only several hours have passed in the galaxy, or several days, right? So we have no idea how long he was actually there on Dagobah training with Yoda. But Luke interrupts his training to leave and go and help Han and Leia on Cloud City, and Obi-Wan and Yoda try to convince Luke to stay and continue his training, but we know that Luke left and had his confrontation with Darth Vader, where we learned that Vader was his father. Now, the statement is that Obi-Wan says that boy is our last hope, and Yoda says no, there is another. Now, what did Yoda mean? Who is the other? Well, I want to call your attention to a novel that came out after A New Hope, and this novel could have been, actually Dash Star did a video on this with Looper, where he's a guest host, where he talked about, I think it's the Star Wars movie that never happened, right? And it was based on this novel called Splinter of the Mind's Eye. This is a novel, a story that's set between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. In it, Luke and Leia are both stranded on a jungle planet where they discover a sliver of a kyber crystal. And what they learn is these kyber crystals are an item that's capable of enhancing a Force user's abilities, right? So this story there are sexual tensions going on between Luke and Leia. Now, there's the kiss on Hoth in Empire Strikes Back. There's this story where Luke and Leia are kind of wanting to hook up. There was Luke's initial, wow, it's a princess. Oh man, and he's goggle-eyed and everything else, and he's basically in love with the princess. And originally, George Lucas had planned for there to be a love triangle. This is not an Illuminati sign. I'm just throwing up a triangle with Luke, Leia, and Han Solo. And it would, in his mind, his idea was that it would be something like Gone with the Wind. And in the end, Luke would go off and be a Jedi and a monk, like Obi-Wan, and Han would get the girl. Han would end up with Leia. And notice that it's not Luke would go off, he didn't get Leia because they find out they're twins, right? The plan was that George Lucas would do episodes 7, 8, and 9, and those episodes would deal with Luke's twin sister, the other Skywalker, right? His plan was that Luke was on Tatooine with Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. His twin sister was being trained by other Jedi who had gone into hiding. So she had been trained as a Jedi since birth. And in episode 7, 8, and 9, Luke would meet up with his twin sister I guess they would take down the remaining part of the Empire, or a new threat. I don't know. If you guys want to say Yuuzhan Vong, I don't know. That's EU stuff, and I don't think that was part of George Lucas's plan, right? Contrary to what we have now, right? I don't think that episodes 7, 8, and 9 were fully fleshed out, but the plan was that Luke would meet up with his twin sister, who was a fully trained Jedi, more powerful than he was when we see him, after Return of the Jedi, episode 6. She's been training her entire life, right? She's a fully trained Jedi, right? And they would team up and deal with a new threat. Or there was the possibility that Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford do not come back. And that's why Billy D. Williams looks like Han Solo and he's flying the Millennium Falcon in Return of the Jedi, is that he would replace the Han Solo character. And especially if Han Solo didn't come back after Empire Strikes Back, which was on the table. And it's another reason why in the Splinter of the Mind's Eye, Han Solo is not in that story, because if they made a movie, they didn't have Harrison Ford signed on for the next movie. So you make a story that has no Han Solo. Why? He left after he sent Vader careening off into space after they destroyed the Death Star, right? So it's like, wow, it's like all this stuff that we knew about Star Wars. Even though George Lucas says he had the saga in mind from the beginning, well, it's looking like he didn't. And I know somebody's going to say, Prince, where's your proof? I can't think of the name of the one book that I'm thinking of off the top of my head. I have it here on my Kindle. I haven't read it yet, but the other one I have read is The World According to Star Wars. And since I mentioned my team at the start of this video, Samiko suggested I read that book over the summer. I got it on Audible. I listened to it. I also have it on Kindle. I read half of it, listened to all of it during my morning meditation walks that I like to do when it's nice outside. And I learned a lot about the background, the making of Star Wars. So hop over to Amazon, check that book out. And that's not a plug for Amazon at all. I'm just telling you guys that if you really want to know more about this background and how things weren't really the way they are. Now, I said that after I say all of that I was going to tie this all back to Ezra Bridger, right? So what does it mean? Well, we have this Ezra Bridger character. He's roughly about 2 weeks older than Luke and Leia. He's been training longer than Luke has, right? Ezra starts training at the age of 14. He's about to turn 15 when he starts training. But we're going to say Rebel picks up 5 years before the Battle of Yavin, before Luke really picks up the lightsaber and really starts his heroic journey as he becomes the Jedi Luke Skywalker that we see in episode 7, right? So we've got this Ezra Bridger character, much like the other that was supposed to be, that didn't happen because George Lucas decided to hang it up. And that's why Leia became the other Skywalker, because George Lucas decided not to do episode 7, 8, and 9 after he finished Return of the Jedi. He was like, I'm done, right? But we have this Jedi, Ezra Bridger, or this kid, this Padawan, and he's training, right? And I, like I've said in other videos, I think Ezra could still be around. I think he's going to become something else, but he's being steeped in the full Force, not just one view of the Force provided by the Jedi, right? He's learned Sith teachings from that Sith holocron. He's learning from Maul. He's learning from the Bendu. He's learning from the Night Sister. He knows about Night Sister magic. We don't even know what else is in store for Ezra Bridger. So it's totally possible that Ezra could be in hiding or somewhere else in another part of the galaxy, the same way the other Skywalker was supposed to have been in another part of the galaxy. So is Ezra the other? No, the other that Yoda speaks of is Leia. But Ezra Bridger, that character, could take on that story that was intended for Luke Skywalker's twin sister before that twin sister became Leia, right? I don't know if I've confused you. I'm sure some of you are following along with what I'm going to say. Basically, what I'm saying is the other is Princess Leia that Yoda's speaking of. But originally at that time, it wasn't Leia, because it wasn't established that Leia was going to be Luke's sister. It was also not, while they were writing Empire Strikes Back, it was not yet established that Vader was going to be Anakin Skywalker. Originally, and this is all from the world according to Star Wars, originally Luke was supposed to meet a Force ghost Anakin who would knight him into the Jedi Order. That got scrapped. They decided, yes, we're going to make Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader the same person. So from a certain point of view, Obi-Wan was telling the truth. That point of view is the original version of the story, but it got thrown out when Anakin became Darth Vader, the same way the other became Princess Leia, right? Things got changed as they were creating the script, creating the perfect saga, the perfect heroic journey, right? If they had done it a different way, we might not be talking about Star Wars the way we are today, and we might not be honoring the life of Carrie Francis Fisher, who passed earlier today. So to Carrie Fisher, to her family, I said this once before, I will say it again. May the force of others be with you. I think that's how I'm going to end this one. If you want to subscribe, please subscribe. Go ahead, take the first steps towards joining this Urban Acolyte community. And yeah, I know this isn't how I normally end videos, but that's all I want to say for this evening. So thanks for watching. Y'all keep on breathing, and may the force of others be with all of you always.